just tell you?
You're watching me.
You watch me. That was from last week. But there were 2 more signs.
I'm going to screw something into my head.
Delicate interpretation. If you're a scuba diver, that means I'm going to shut off the valve on my air tank.
Oh.
Now, the last time that I signaled this to someone, you watch me, I'm turning off the valve, I was 150 feet underwater. And you say, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would you turn off your tank 150 feet underwater? So let me offer a little bit of clarity. I'm a scuba diver. I dive to 150 feet. I'm working my way up to training for 200 feet. And when you go that deep, you may not have the option to go to the surface to solve a problem. You have to be able to solve it then and there underwater, and it doesn't matter how much water is on top of you. So every beginning technical diver has a training drill to be able to shut off the valve on their right tank, shut off the valve on their left tank, and shut off the center valve that links the two. Because there might be a point at which you have to do this to save your life. And when you're getting ready to do that, whether you're doing it as a training drill or you're doing it for real, you need to make sure that the person you're diving with has absolute clarity about what's going to happen. And that's why I start out, every time I do that, you watch me. And clarity is not just something we need underwater, but it's something that we need every time that we come up here and give a speech. So think about it. You're up here, you have an audience, and you want them to be engaged with you. You need to get their attention. How do you go about doing that? You need to demonstrate that you have clarity of purpose in your speech. You need to have a reason to be up here talking. There needs to be something that you want to share, you want to communicate. And then you need to have clarity in your content. Your message needs to be understandable, and you need to present it in a way that makes sense to your audience and ultimately gets through to them. So when you want to present, think about starting with your end goal in mind. You want to have communicated to your audience. So as you're setting up the speech, you're getting ready to rehearse, or you're even just thinking about your structure, start with the end goal in mind. You want the audience to understand your point and your message. So as you're going through and structuring things, try to be your own evaluator and say, would this make sense to someone else? If I was sitting in that chair, would that matter to me, and would I still be paying attention? So that's your clarity of purpose and clarity of content. And that gets you to the point where you've now prepared the speech and you're up here delivering it. When you're delivering, you want to project a sense of confidence, calmness, and most importantly, competence. And we do that by preparing for our speeches, but it's important that you don't prepare your speech in the wrong way. When we start out, there's a very strong impulse for us to write the speech out word by word, line by line, and then memorize it the same way, like we're doing lines from a school play. But that introduces a problem, because when you hit a point in your script that you don't remember, you're going to freeze up here in front of the lights, just like a deer. You have your headlights, and then you're going to be stuck. And you don't get to project that sense of confidence and competence. So don't run into that problem. Instead of starting with a script, start with a foundation. Make sure that you have an introduction that clearly sets out your goals and introduces your content. Have a couple of points. 1 and 2 is a great number of points. 3 gets a little bit long. And 4 and 5 is going to be too much. Your message is going to be muddled and you'll lose clarity. But after you have those points, you can then have a conclusion that ties them all together, reminds the audience what your theme is, and if there is any confusion along the way, now is a moment where you can explain and add clarity before you finish. This gives you the option of changing it up in the middle of your speech, answering a question from the audience, or if you have a really great idea, you can take it and run with it. And the audience isn't going to know that anything changed from the plan because you are ready to go. When you arrive at the end of the speech, if you've been successful, the audience is going to understand where you started, where you went with it, and how you finished, and they'll take a couple of thoughts home with them and continue thinking about what you said. And that's the best possible impression that you can make as a speaker. You start with clarity, you can end with clarity too. Thank you.